Hello and welcome to Michelle Holden Art, Create With Me, and this is a pre-recorded Create With Me as I am not able to do a live session this week, but it's still really helpful to you and very fun as I am going to explore for the first time while I'm talking. Sort of live narration, some Gelli Plate printing techniques that are very simple that you can start using right away. Now, if you don't have a Gelli Plate printer, there's other ways to go about it, but that will be in another video. You still could use a brayer or a paintbrush to use some stencils or put marks and many layers on top of your collage papers, your intended collage papers. Welcome if you are new here. Today is all about mark making and layering on a Gelli Plate printer. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is get organized. So this is my art journaling table. It's the large IKEA drafting table I've had for many years. So I have the papers that I want to layer. I've got some stencils plus brushes. Everything is within arm's reach. And I have 3 different size brayers. This is, I think it's 3.5 inches. This is 2. And this is just like a little one, whatever. On my right, though, I have my super large 12 by 14 Gelli Plate printer, but I'm not using it to print. I'm using it as a palette. And at the end, I'm going to put a large piece of maybe newsprint or medical paper and pull what's left after we finish this session. So it depends what we have. Why I'm doing this is it's not broken in yet, and I've not really used a Gelli Plate as a palette for preparing prints. And I think it's a really cool way to really be careful as to what you're doing. Now, I'm just going to start right away. I've got some ideas and some intentions, but I'm just going to leave this very simple. So I want to fade some of these high contrast marks a little. So I'm just going to start. Usually I would put the paint directly on this 8 by 10. But we will just work our way. I'm experimenting though with the fluid Liquitex. I'm not sure if it's thick enough, but if I just want to veil, I think it might work. Now, it's interesting. This is my older 8 by 10, and it's acting like a new Gelli Plate would, or it's the paint, but we will find out. And in the end, you end up with lots of layers on your Gelli Plate after ghost prints, and then when you pull those last ones, you can get a really nice grungy print. So let's just see. These are the marks I made in a previous Create With Me session, shapes, and let's see what we can do with them. I usually put at least 3 or 4 layers on my collage papers. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Sort of a ghost shadowy effect. And then we'll come on with a stronger. Now, of course, you have that edge, but we trim that off. So there we go. Let's do a different demonstration. Say circles on top of circles. So I'm just going to spread this paint here. And I'm just going to do stamping. I like to go off and alternate the edge, I mean. Okay. Let's see what happens. Nope. And you can partially lift it. I don't have one of those printer's tools. I sort of have a homemade one. It's just from some packing. I intend to get one though as I get into this more. So you're allowing it to do some drying so it adheres to the fiber of the paper. Isn't that interesting? Let's see. That's okay. We're not aiming for perfection, but most of it has pulled off. You see how you get this many shapes, this repetition going on? Sort of, it's like a language. Okay, let's do one more white one, but this time I'm going to add a little neutral with my unbleached titanium. And there is a bit of a learning curve as to how much paint you use. This is still a bunch, so we'll get a few pulls out of it. A couple of pulls probably, and a ghost print. This time I'm going to use some bubble wrap, which is right here. I'm just going to press it on so it leaves a mark. Put some over here. And this, why waste? I'll use the next paper. There we go. Yes, this is turning out just fine. Okay, so we have those organic circles, sort of just random and all over composition. We'll get into some color in a moment. I love those. Let's see. While I'm doing this, I'm thinking, wow, what would look good as a contrast to those? So now you have those circles that are now in the background with a fine texture. And as you can see, you can just keep on going. Let's do something a little different with those. Let's add a little yellow oxide. That's probably all I need, mixed with what was left on this brayer. If you are working in a series of for a particular palette, which I am, but during this demonstration, I'm not worried about using the same colors, but yellow oxide is one of my colors for that palette, burnt sienna, turquoise, and Payne's gray, along with the unbleached titanium and black and white. Oh, look what I did. That gave me an idea. So we have sort of random These will be hidden behind the yellow. And we'll get into the sequencing of layering. Let's see what happens with this one. I love the surprises. Gelli Plate Printing is so much fun and very economical because you're only using small amounts of paint per square inch of paper, and you can layer and experiment away. Oh, that is very interesting. So right now there's 3 layers in a way. You've got the previous circles, the yellow oxide, and these interesting imperfect circles. Okay, let's try some yellow oxide. No, burnt sienna. Sorry, burnt sienna with what's left on here. What I'm liking it's reminding me of my nickel azo gold, which is no longer by Golden, but it's really the hue of that. This is less yellow, more rust, and when you combine the turquoise, this burnt sienna, and the unbleached titanium, you can get some really old patina kind of stuff going on. Now, I wanted to use, you won't see that. Let's use this old piece of faded newsprint for the initial layer. Now, it's just going to be a solid, and you can experiment with your solids as well, but they always turn out so interesting, especially on newsprint. Very cool. And we're going to add some marks onto that and a stencil. Okay, now let's move to a stencil using, let's use some of the turquoise. With some of this. And I think I will use that same collage that I just did with a stencil. So we'll just start combining these. And when you're making your collage papers out of the same color of your palette, everything goes together. So it's all cohesive, which makes creating your mixed media, using your intuitive layers, really better, easier. So I'm going to put this on top, but I want a cool, oh, I know which one. One of the first ones. This is a stencil, girl stencil. And what it is, I believe, is the map and outline of, I believe, Portugal, Rhodes. So it's a macro, which is so cool. I love that. Mapping is a big part of my theme in one of my series, one of many to come. And one thing I really love, which I don't know if you noticed, when I'm Gelli Plate printing, it's just so explorative and fun, and I can find I narrate and do my think aloud for you so easily. It's like you're right here. What do you think? I think it's great. I'm really, very cool. Because we are going to put another layer on. But let's see what the ghost print does. So we'll lift the stencil. Very interesting. I love this stencil. Now, yes, this one. Should it be one of these old pages? Yeah, let's use the old page. So, actually no, we're going to use a text page. An old book page. Where'd you go? Oh, there they are. Okay. This is some of these old encyclopedias. The paper is sort of like a vellum, or I don't even know if that's the right term, but it's very translucent. So sometimes your ghost print will dry very quickly. So I've not done this before. I'm going to put some medium on there so we can lift it. And of course you need to use a clean brayer, which is nice to have more than one. Once you purchase your Gelli Plate printing equipment, it's just basically the print, the brayer, where you press. I don't know the term of that, but if you do, put it in the comments. Okay, there's a lot of drying. It depends on the kind of layer you're doing. Sometimes when you have many layers and you're doing a pull, some Gelli Plate printers, and I do use YouTube and follow some other people who really know their Gelli Plate printing. This is lifting off so nicely. Oh, and it tore. It's okay. We're going to be tearing it up anyway. So, and look, it has a shine to it, which will give it some protection when it's dry. I really like that. All right. I'm going to keep using, we're going to go dark. And it's interesting too, when you do just choose a few stencils and you repeat them in different ways, different combinations, light on dark, dark on light, with marks underneath, as a ghost print, layered on top of something else. It's, you get to really understand your way of using it, which is very interesting. I'm really liking this as a palette. I'm going to start spreading some more colors on it so we get an interesting pull on this big 12 by 14. Just to change it up, even though I would like to use that one, let's change it up. Say these circles. These are really cool. They're organic and they change size, of course. And no, oh, one of the ones we already did. So you have these shadows behind, and now I'm going to come in with a higher contrast again in the next layer. These are sort of in the road. Okay, I think I'll turn everything this way, and we are going to use the deli. This is the deli wrap paper. Right now I've just been using the pages that we started with in the Create With Me series, in the mark making, Trust Your First Mark, and just adding those. Very interesting. And we'll put some more on top. The ghost print. just want a few marks so the ghost print will show up. Let's see if it'll pull without adding the medium. It's nice and grungy. That's what I love. Yes. There we go. Now we're getting some more. Okay, let's use black again. So far we've just used a little bit of turquoise, yellow oxide, burnt sienna, and white and black. I really love this wider one. It spreads it very evenly, especially if I've not done a lot of image transfers, but I'm finding I use images in my work and I want to use them as an element in different ways, different variations, so I can repeat them. It's a whole thing. Okay, say if you don't have any stencils, but you have a color shaper and you want something more of you. So I'm just gonna go and carve some very interesting shapes in and around, go off the edge. And you don't want to go too long, but there's a lot of paint on here, so it shouldn't dry. And you might want to watch the humidity level. Right now it's not a very hot day. I have a window open, but we know how quickly acrylics can dry. You can also get the open or buy an open medium to add to your paint so it doesn't dry as quickly. Yeah, I think it's golden open. Okay, I'm going to, let's just use this. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Oh, I've got some nice papers coming up. This was the blotter. We'll get into making our own tools, really digging deep into our mark making process, really going deeper and finding your personal marks with tools that you really explore in my new course coming out in the fall. Oh, very interesting. I like that, but I like what's left on the page better. Okay, let's add a little bit of medium. Whoops, these things happen. Actually, I'm looking forward to really learning the process of working with images, transferring them on various papers. This one, since there's some really lovely marks, you'll find that you go through a lot of transparent papers. The deli wrap has a dull side and a shiny side. So I'm thinking I'm going to use the dull side. Now it'll grab, but I don't want that. There we go. Let's see what happens here. Very interesting. just what I was hoping for. So you can see it's still very translucent and the marks are very organic. We might get part of another one. Sometimes it wrinkles like that, but that's okay. And sometimes you want wrinkles on purpose. Nope, that's okay. It dried, so we'll just save that. Now, let's use the paint up here before it all dries up. And right now I'm just sort of experimenting just with some curves that have a little energy. I just use whatever comes to mind at that moment. I'm just responding. And I think I want to use, oh, see this white over here is drying. Okay. I'm going to spread this out. I will add some more color, the ones that I'm experimenting with. Just a few drops. So let's do that. I'm really multitasking here. See, when you just pull like that, you can just have some beautiful oval shapes. So I'm going to add some more. And this is just getting this Gelli plate, sort of like getting the shiny off in a way. You don't want all those bubbles, but right now I don't mind. Okay, so I'm letting this dry. I'm just going to put this down. There's so many things you can do. So, just a quick dab. Okay. Now those will be in the front. And behind it, I want more of a neutral. But grungy. These are some of my favorite papers. Whoops. Whoops. There we go. And I don't want to, that's all I want. And we can roll this off over here. Ah, interesting. See, it's sticking to the brayer. Well, there's something new I've learned. Okay. So now, let's use just a plain, maybe this one. Doesn't matter. At this point, sometimes you need to let it sit for 10 minutes. But for demonstration's sake, I'm not going to do that because it's pulling off nicely. And there we go. These are some of the best papers you can get with your marks on them. And look at that underneath. Still showed up. But since it was thick, it was the fine line applicator. Or I was just fooling around with something, so it's raised. And wow. So later on, you could come in with, say, my new spray. So now I'm going to use it on everything. And you could. That's a little drippy, but that might look really cool. It's picking up and dripping. Let that dry. You can come in with another layer on top of that. maybe in more of a yellow oxide, something subtle, or just use your own paintbrush. And these are really amazing papers once you put at least 3 or 5 layers on them. Okay. So that's just a quick introduction to, we haven't even gotten into the more detailed Gelli Plate printing techniques. And I'm constantly learning more. So let's just do a review. We've got that wonderful translucent piece, which is really essential to our transparent layers. Some wonderful grunginess finished up with some mica spray. Surprises. Ghost prints on different papers. And 2 layers to start, black and white, exploring some color contrasts, planning maybe to add the yellow oxide in the 3rd layer. Same here. And repeating shapes in different forms. So, as you can see, Gelli Plate printing is so much fun in that small amount of time, just with exploration. Look how many papers we've created. So you can really build your collage papers. I've thrown out a lot, and I only save the ones that really resonate with me, and they're at least, and I know that I'm going to use them with my current work. And everything else, either, if it's really good, it gets saved maybe for another layer or 2, but otherwise, you will build up your collage paper collection very quickly. So you need to sort of keep an eye on that. I'm really loving this. Okay, so if you haven't got a Gelli Plate printer, maybe plan on getting one. I do not have an Amazon affiliation yet or anything like that, but that's the next thing I better work with, because that's where I get them. And I didn't pull from here. Maybe we'll do that right now, just to finish off the video. I keep pulling down my lights. Oh well. Now, there's nothing much left here, but this will also help condition this Gelli plate. I can't wait. I bought a larger one so I can create papers for larger work on canvas. And wood panel. So let's see what kind of grungy pull we can get here. I think I'll move some of this over. Put the small one to the side. And they are on glass. They're the kitchen, the glass cutting boards that you can purchase. It just fits on this one. And here is a large piece of newsprint that I use for my placemat, and we're going to use it. Let's see what happens. Very cool, very grungy. and I'm liking all that's going on. And it'll look really interesting with some more marks and a few more layers. And that was very fun exploring Gelli Plate printing with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. And I will see you next week with Create With Me. So if you haven't signed up yet, the link is in the video description below. You'll get all of the next week's topics and the at least 3 or 4 resources so far that I've included when you sign up. So I'll see you on the other side and on Sundays at 11. Happy creating!